Hey, welcome back to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest running sales training podcast in the history of podcasting. I'm Bill Caskey.
Brian Neal here.
We've been doing this for 19 years this September.
Yeah.
19 years.
Fun. Isn't that great?
And if we can tolerate each other, we might even hit 20 years next year. But
I would love that. I think we will. I think we'll make it. Yep. Yeah. And we still talk. Yeah, a lot of you hear radio show hosts that like hate each other, or bandmates that hate each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. They keep going because they need the money. We still talk. It's nice.
No, it's good. If you're a new listener, you can go to advancedsellingpodcast.com. I think there's a link there that will take you through some of the most popular episodes. You do not have to start at episode 1 from 2006, although if you want to be our guest, that's why we have it up there. We've done probably almost 2,000 episodes.
I think you can find 1,500 of them or so, and there's 500.
Yeah, there's 500 in a vault. Yeah.
Bill, I just have to ask you. We both getting a little older here, and kind of happens. Old man things start to happen. Pet peeves things start to happen. I've got a new thing that it's gotten worse and worse and worse, and it's kind of combined. Like food smells are getting more on my nerves, and people eating noises are getting more on my nerves. If you know what I mean. So, and I used to tolerate this, and now like my wife was eating, and she wasn't like with her mouth open or anything, but I could hear every little crunch, and I'm like trying to not say anything. I didn't say anything until just now, and now she doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, she's like,
my wife. And then I got in her car, and I'm like, "What does that smell?" She go, "It's soup." I'm like, what did you have? Well, yeah, I had soup in here. I just, I carried it to Davis's lacrosse tournament. I'm like, what kind of soup was it? Like chicken noodle soup. Like it smelled like it was like, bad old fermented cheese soup. So I don't know if it's me. I have a pet peeve about people that cook things at work in a microwave. So the whole break area smells like all the food potpourri from the weekend leftovers. You know what I mean? Like there's a little salmon, some bacon, someone's having spinach and egg casserole. And it's like, I can't stand that.
This is weird that you would bring this up, because Friday I walked into my favorite retail store, the Pool Place, where I bring the sample and they sell me $1,000 worth of chemicals. Yeah. And I walked in, and the odor was awful. It was just terrible. And I'm like, is that a sewage? I didn't ask, but it's, sometimes you have that phosphorus, that sewage smell. That somebody's bottled up the pipes here. And then I thought, well, this store is full of chemicals, and maybe there was a spillage or something.
Yeah. And
so I asked the lady, there's 2 really nice ladies that run. I said, "Oh man, what is that? What is that smell?" She goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Oh, it's just rancid." She goes, "Well, I just had some Chinese food. I just cooked some Chinese food in the microwave, but I don't think it would be that." I'm like,
"Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it is."
Or Asian. I don't know what she said. I was probably
general. So
the point is that when you're cooking it, you ain't smelling it.
No, you're not. I mean, it smells good to you because you're eating it. Like, can't be that. It's all it is, man. How can it not be that? The whole place smells like it now. It's terrible. Yeah. Anyway,
well, my pet peeve is as I've become older, not only are my eyes not as good, my hearing is not. It's not good at separating the sounds.
Yes.
So if you and I are sitting in a room, a quiet room, and you're whispering, I'm hearing you fine. But when we're in a room with 30 other people, and you're not there yet, you will be. But it bugs me when people mumble. It is a pet peeve of mine when people try to talk too fast, they mumble. And then if it's in a room where there's a lot of ambient noise, I'm constantly saying, "What? Huh?
Yeah.
Can you repeat yourself?" Oh, that's a pet peeve. And, it's not their fault. I mean, they mumble all the time. So they think it's just like cooking Chinese food. And
at the pool store.
That's what we do here.
Little phosphorus, some chemicals, some chlorine, and some General Tso chicken and beef broccoli, please. That would be great. Okay, let's get back. Pickup topic.
All right.
Last time we had a great topic, we thought. So much so we extended it into the second episode of buyer behavior. How has buyer behavior changed? And we're going to carry on. Bill has 27 more. I've got 2. We'll see how this goes.
Last week we talked about how buyers are more self-directed in their research before the salesperson even shows up. And then we talked about the trust deficit, which is where there is a gap between how much trust you think you have with the buyer and how much they actually have. And we talked about some ways to narrow that gap. So those are the two things. Do you have one? I don't want to dominate this. Do you have one that, not on that one, but a third that you can share?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've got a couple more here. Let's see, which one do I want to go with?
One to start with.
Yeah, just give me one to start with. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. It's like a game show now. I know buyers buy by committee more than ever. They buy by committee more than ever. There are always multiple people. Is it on there?
Number 2.
Are you serious?
Decision by committee.
Go ahead. About this.
Keep going.
I picked the right one.
Yep.
And the concept of decision maker is dead. It's one of the things that I will stand. I don't like die on many hills in our world of work, because I think there are a lot of ways to do something. I will die on that hill. There is no such thing as the decision maker. Yeah. And everyone likes to hang on to that. Yeah. One, the old guard baby boomer Gen Xers, because that's how we were taught. You got to talk to that person.
Right.
And then the other thing is, I think other people want to hang on to it because if they have rapport with one person, it's easy. And so why make it harder by bringing in the CFO? Because I might not have rapport with the CFO. I'll just stick. And I can't tell you, like over and over, this gets proven. Gong, the group the big AI group that has all this data, they have data behind this to back it all up. And if you are looking for the decision maker, you're dead on arrival.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I've been thinking about something that what you just said about how most of our training that we have done over the decades is all about the one decision maker. It's all about the one-to-one. It's where all and then I've said, you've seen some of my posts on LinkedIn maybe, is I think we have trained sales professionals for a world that no longer exists.
Oh, wow.
And the world that exists today is very different than the world where all of this sales training and some of it's junk and some of it's crap and some of it's okay. And some of it we believe it's good because we use it and we came up with it or we found it or we paid for it. And really the fact is that a lot of it is training us for a world that just has seen its better day. Mm. And I think this whole idea of how companies make decisions is part of that. If you're calling on a B2C, if you're calling on a consumer, of course, you got maybe a spouse or a wife or a husband or a pastor. But when you're calling on a business that's getting ready to make a $500,000 investment, there's a lot of eyes on that proposal. And the question is, are you managing that? Are you orchestrating that? Or are you allowing your buyer to orchestrate that, which is a terrible mistake?
100%. And that's what's happening. Now, we do want to go back to something you said, B2C, that you'd ask your partner, spouse, or your pastor. So I'm going to start tapping into Father Jeff next time we need to buy a car. I thought that was brilliant. Pray on it. But what you said at the end there, and this is what people do, they get latched onto one person who's typically easy and positive. That's why we latch onto them. And we're fearful to go outside of that because we don't muck that up. And that person, we think that person can sell internally, and they can't over and over. We, in our own firm, and I get so frustrated. And sometimes it's me, sometimes it's not. And I could just see it. You see it. It's like a train wreck ready to happen. You see that, this VP of sales is going to go advocate for us to the CEO and CFO. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. Mm-mm. They can't. And they shouldn't. And it's not their fault. It's our problem. Yeah. We have to facilitate that. I know I called on it last time. It's just really good. And I'm a big believer in this EOS thing. One of the rules, our guy that we hired to do ours, he has a rule that if there are partners in a business, he'll have a really brief, and by brief, it's 15 minutes or less, meeting with one partner. And if all of the partners in the business that are on the LLC, the ownership, can't be in the next meeting, he won't have the meeting. Yeah. No questions asked. And I'm like, that is brilliant. And he's not mean about it. He's just like, no, we can't do it. And that's it. And like the moment you two, so if someone was selling the Advanced Selling podcast and he was calling us and only I could meet with him, he'd say, okay, can't do that. Just let me know when you and Bill can be in a room together and I'll do it. Yeah. I think that's genius.
I do too. And so he has a set of rules and guidelines that he doesn't cross.
No, and he doesn't.
We all need that. I mean, I'm good at talking that game, and sometimes I deviate from it because conditions, there's 3 of the 4 of us. You're not going to really come back to win the 4. Okay. So, but if you're going to go down the path of breaking your rule there, you've got to have a a side path that acquaints the people who were not there
Yes.
with here's what we did.
Yes.
And that could be even a video. I've got a couple clients who do videos. If somebody's absent in a meeting, they'll shoot a quick video and kind of go through the proposal or go through whatever. And it's very helpful. And that's kind of, you're like bringing them into the meeting, even though they weren't there.
Yes.
So I think that decision by committees. Any other idea that you have for people there other than
not on that one?
Okay. All right. Here's one I have. It's the raise the buying experience. So we've talked about prospect experience before, and Steve Walker does a podcast called CX, the customer experience, which is after one becomes a customer. But I think we've also got to pay attention to what is that buyer or prospect experience. Does it feel right when you're around them and when they're in process with you? Does it feel like to them like this is a good fit, and I don't know if I can do this without them, or does it feel like, you know what, he sounds like everybody else, or he didn't really ask me any questions. I mean, he kind of started saying he was going to ask me questions, but he never did, and I didn't feel right. I mean, the fact is that feelings matter more than facts, and if you're not tapping into that and not manipulating, you're just understanding how important the prospect's feelings are in the process and their emotions are, and you're just dealing with facts, you're missing 70% of the possible decision process.
No doubt. Yes. And I think I have the cheesy saying, but I think it usually foots, is that all data, all facts are interpreted with emotion. Because you're not going to find any CEO or CFO that looks at the data and then that's it. They're going to go, here's the data. Cash flow looks awesome. Feeling great about Q2. Or they're going to go, we're struggle bussing. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's emotion behind the facts. And the people like, sell with data. Like, you've got to connect the bridge to how the data helps someone feel better, more positive, more safe, or how the data makes them feel less so.
So in this world where a lot of times it is an intellectual, logical, data-driven game, which buyers say they want more of. That's one of mine is buyers say, because I did some research on what are buyers wanting from sales organizations. They want data. Well, do they? I mean, if we listen to that and all we give them is data and no emotion, there's not a feeling component to it, we're giving them what they want, but we're not helping them.
No. And And it's like, we all have a story to tell. We all have a data story. Like, I can show you a data story that made, people 100 millionaires. Like, does that mean I get the deal? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, everyone's got that. So what's the point? I always say is what the point is it a proof point for yourself to validate? I mean, people say that, buy an emotion to validate. So it's fine, but I just want to know what we're using it for. That's all.
Well, when you said that, everybody's got a point to a logical proof that my solution is better for you. But by proving that too vehemently, you lose the feeling.
Yes.
You literally sound like you're desperate and anxious, and you really don't care about my needs. All you care about is the fact that you got data to prove it. So that's when data turns against you.
Right. The data dilemma. The data dilemma. Don't say it. Yesterday was May 4th, right?
No. And I received
that. Here's one. This might be a little counterintuitive to what most people think. You know what I think is way less important now? And I know the bunch of people are going to go, he doesn't know my world or whatever.
Oh, I think can I guess?
Me? Yeah.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Handling objections.
Oh, no, that's right there though. Yeah. It's price. I don't think people buy on price like they used to. I really don't. I think the expectation in the past was every sales deal included a price discount, and it had to. And we spend all this time on price. It's all about price. Do we never hear about price? No, we do hear about price, but boy, it's way more quiet than it used to be to me. I think people are just more reasonable with pricing things, where in the past, I do think this is a little generational. Baby boomers were raised by the greatest generation who lived through the Depression. So they were raised in a little bit of a scarcity mentality. And when they bought with a scarcity mentality. I'm broad stereotyping here. Gen Xers saw the 80s, like everything was great. And, everyone was driving Beamers and everything. And we've seen this big monumental climb. The millennials have never really seen an economic downturn in their adult life. And the Gen Xers are in la la land. I mean, they have no idea what's going on. So, or the Gen Zers, I should say, not Gen Xers. So,
no, I think you're right. I like that analogy. And I wonder how much of it has come because we have bought price and gotten burned so many times that it just gets into our DNA that, well, I'm going to drop price as the criteria down a notch or two.
Yeah.
Still on the criteria list, but it's not number one. Here's another one that kind of fits along with that one is I think we have to do a better job as sales professionals in describing the transformation that a customer is going to get when they work with us.
Oh, that's great.
And this is not a promise. This is not a series of promises or you're going to be amazed. It's not hype. It's literally saying, if you follow our course of action here and you hire us and we come in and work with you for 6 months or whatever, and we get you up to speed,
yes,
here's what you're going to be looking at a year from now.
Yes.
Here's the way your business is going to change.
Yes.
I think if we're real and really believe that, we owe it to the customer to bring that up and say, you may not work with me, but if you do, here's what I can promise you. Here's our intention. Our intended destination is this.
Yes. That's so good.
Yeah.
And everyone, well, I can't say that. I was just going to say everything. But when you're small and nimble like we are, we can do more with this. I know some of you work in bigger companies. If you're listening to this, like I can't do this. But what I was going to say is like, and if it's not working, we'll find a way out of it. We're not going to hold you to a contract if it's not, and it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. It's not what it is.
Because that's the first reaction I get when I tell people this. Wow, I can't. And a lot of it depends on a lot of things. Okay, you can't even describe it in a paragraph. What can happen?
Right. Here's what
all your disclaimers.
Yeah. Here's what has happened. Here's other, and you can use data and psychographic, etherical, touchy-feely things. You can use both of those things.
Yeah.
To say, look, this group's been doing this for a year. Here's what they'll see both in their CRM and their funnel. Here's also the air, the vibe of the sales team and how it was before, and here's how it's different.
Yeah.
And just some proof points of that. I love that. Yeah. Because it gives the buyer that people need to understand what they're tapping out of. They need to understand that. We just lost a deal. And I would argue now that you just said that one of the reasons we lost it is we didn't do a good enough job painting the picture of what they're going to give up. Because on this side of it, it was an ideal situation. And it was almost like I said this, I'm like, I want to get my hands on the sales team because they have all of the right stuff sitting there. And we did not do a good enough job doing exactly what we were talking about.
It happens.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. If you have not checked out Insider, go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/insider. It's a 75-minute training we do once a month, usually on the first Friday. If you go to that webpage, and we'll put it in the show notes, there is the entire 2025 curriculum. Next meeting coming up in June. It's $97 a month. It's easy in, easy out. If you stay a couple months and don't like it, we are not going to chase you around for $97 a month, but it's a good value. Great people. We got about 40, 50 people in it. So anyway,
love it.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.